Just doing a little test here. Got a lot of feedback. How's that? Much better? A little echoey? Let me see those signs. Hold your signs up. There we go. Veterans for Equal Rights. If you're a veteran for equal rights, say yeah! Yeah! Fund care, not billionaires. Who can get behind that message? Woo! No Trump, no Doge equals peace. I'll get down with that. I can get down with that. No kings in America. Congress, do your job. You have the right to stay silent, but I don't recommend it. That's what we're doing here today, folks. That's what we're doing here. Just bear with us while we get set up. I'm going to adjust this a little bit, make sure everybody can hear, make sure it's not echoing. Thank you. All right, guys, we're starting to get set up here. People are still filling in, so we're going to take it just a little slow, but let me tell you what's going to happen today, what we got lined up. We've got Susan from Indivisible here. She's going to kick us off. Thank you, thank you. We've got 10 or 11 different speakers today that are going to talk about different things that are being impacted by the political climate today. So, give us our best attention. Everybody who comes up here, just give them a loud, warm round of applause, and let's keep this energy going. This is our second protest as Purple People, and then we plan on doing a lot more. Indivisible has a lot of stuff planned this week. Follow people on socials, Facebook, Blue Sky, whatever it is. They're everywhere. We need to unite. We need to get active, and we need to do more, okay? This is not the end. This is the beginning. So just a few more minutes, and we'll be ready to rock. Oh my God, it feels good. Get it out, get it out. Let's hear it for Susan from Indivisible.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for showing up. And I wanted to start by welcoming you to Trump 2.0, where actually the stock market is down and measles are up. So I think they're off to like a brilliant start. Pardon? We're winning. Yes, we're winning everywhere. But anyway, I'm Susan Griffin. I'm on the leadership team for Indivisible. And Indivisible is founded around the principle that there's more of us than there are them. We just have to be active, we have to organize, and we have to stick together. So the only requirements for any person to participate in any Indivisible activity, or I think any activity of all of the organizations that are represented here and that are trying to do this kind of work in the 5th District, is that you reject authoritarianism and love freedom. If you can sign on for those two things, we're all going to be on board. So if we organize and we stick together and we take action, we can actually slow or stop some of the worst inclinations of this administration. You've already seen that to a certain extent with some, changes in verbiage around like exactly what Elon Musk's role is and those sorts of things. But the more we speak up and shout out, the more they will adjust. Because if there's one thing, well, there is only one thing, as far as I can tell, that politicians care about, and that is getting reelected. And so we just keep the pressure off. We keep the pressure on them. Another thing we have to do in this time is be prepared to protect vulnerable populations, because there are people and groups of people being singled out and having targets put on their back. And what we can do here locally is make sure that we are around to protect those people, whether it's food drives for immigrants who don't feel safe getting out of their house even to buy food, or whether it's the trans community that is under just constant attack from this administration. We have to look out for each other and build community in this time. And one thing that we really, really, really have to do is stick together.
Yes.
Every organization, whether your organization is devoted to free reading or to issues of the poor or to reducing gun violence or whatever, we are all indivisible right now. When we have camped back this particular version of white nationalism, then we can go back to fighting among ourselves and deciding, whether something is right or left or far left or right, whatever. Right now, everything is either right or wrong. And we're on the right side, and we are going to keep speaking up and making this known to these people day in and day out. So another objective of Indivisible is to impact the 2026 election to every extent that we possibly can. And part of that is exposing Dale Strong for his lack of representation of his own district. I mean, how can you How in the world can you represent a district that has between 25 and 30,000 federal employees, and that doesn't even count all the contractors and the people that work for contractors, and sit on your hands and not say a word? I mean, he hasn't spoken up when his neighbors and friends, our neighbors and friends, have been called worms and worthless and lazy. He hasn't bothered to say a single word in defense of his district. Not the least of which to try to defend our economy and the things that we defend on.
That's right.
That's right. So, there's a congressional recess this week. He is in the district, and there actually has been a Dale Strong sighting. Now, we have proof of life, everyone. Now, he was not in any public-facing venue. It was not a town hall. It wasn't a round table with constituents. It wasn't even in his office, where he is not even taking appointments to meet with constituents. Many, many people have tried to get an appointment with him this week. Even Mo Brooks would meet with constituents when he came home from on a recess. But you can't even get an appointment with Dale Strong this week. We've had a lot of people try.
Stop paying him.
Pardon? Stop paying him. Isn't that the truth? It is taxation without representation, honest to God. But anyway, so there's a lot of ways to connect with us. I made a big, very unprofessional poster that Indivisible 5th District North Alabama is the name of the organization, and we are on Instagram, and we're on Facebook, and we're on Blue Sky, and all the activities that we have planned. We have a protest planned for every single day while he's for Monday through Friday this next week. We're going to be protesting on Monday at his office. We're going to be protesting Tuesday at the UAB Veterans Clinic on governors in support of veterans and in opposition to cutting 80,000 workers from the VA. Seriously? But anyway, so you can connect with us and see the whole schedule and come out and join us for anything. Anyone and everyone is welcome. It is literally, we have to be indivisible no matter why you're here or what your key issue is. Right now, we're all indivisible, right? So the second thing, especially if you're one of those people who works in a job where you can't actually, attend protests, or you just work and you can't, get away there at lunchtime or either after work time. We do have some missing posters for Dale Strong, and we would like to put them up all over the district. So several of the Indivisible people scattered through the crowd have them and can give you a few to take. Let's see, if you've got missing posters for Dale Strong, here's some, and there's some, and there's some. Get a few and put them up, and let's see if we can't get him to come out from wherever it is that he's holed up and speak to his constituents. It seems like just the least he could do to me. But anyway, thank you. Looking forward to working with everybody and building a big community. to organize and push back against all of the unconstitutional, illegal, and downright immoral things that are going on in Washington right now. Thank you.
Well done, well done. Thank you so much. All right, so next up we got Christy from Read Freely. But first, before she comes on, who's first time here? Who's a first protester? Let me see those first time protesters. Wow. That's truly inspiring. That's why we do this. That's why we want to be here, to get more people active and involved. Okay, I'll shut up now. Here's Christy from Read Freely. She's going to talk about how they're trying to fascistly jail our librarians. But we don't want to hear that, do we?
Hi everyone, how are you doing? That was a wild night last night, right? So I drove up all the way here from Coleman, Alabama, and if y'all know about Coleman, Alabama, you know it is the reddest county in a red state. So imagine my surprise in 2023 when I heard not just that somebody was challenging books in the library, but they had books depicting same-sex and transgender children in Coleman. I was like, what? What is happening? I did not expect this growing up there. Naturally, I led a group of similarly minded Colemanites, and we fought to not only keep those books shelved, but in their appropriate, age-appropriate sections. And guess what? We won. We outnumbered the book challenger 32-1, literally, in Coleman, Alabama. We reached across party lines to say, to speak to the value of no one, absolutely no one has the right to tell you or your family what they can and cannot read. More than that, But the fight didn't end or begin or end in Coleman, Alabama. It started in Prattville, where Moms for Liberty and their acolyte Clean Up Alabama destroyed that public library.
Katie Britt!
It spread across the state to Huntsville. It spread to Baldwin County. It has spread all the way up to the Alabama Public Library Service, which oversees state funding. They changed the APLS code to censor the books. And our smallest libraries cannot receive their funding, many including Coleman, unless they restrict access to those books. And many of those libraries now have had to come up with tiered card systems, like in Huntsville. And in Coleman, they completely took out the young adult section. Not because they agreed with them, but because they couldn't provide basic services to their community. Moms for Liberty and Clean Up Alabama are still not satisfied. So guess what else they're trying to do? They're trying to jail our librarians. Yes! And guess what? Alabama GOP Chair John Wall is right there working with them. From Limestone County, he's the chair of APLS. He made sure those code changes happened. Are you angry? Because I sure am. Yeah. So let me tell you about a bill called HB 4. This bill was introduced last year and it died. And it's not just a bill to jail librarians, it is a bill to ban drag queen performances as well, wrapped up in the redefining what is considered obscene. So how many of you know about the obscenity law here in Alabama? Basically, it redefines what is considered obscene material, and that obscene material is defined through the Miller test, a 3-part test to define whether or not a piece of work is obscene, and generally it's for material that would be considered probably beyond porn. And there is no porn in our libraries. However, our public libraries and schools have an obscenity exemption, not because there's porn, but so that they can have sex ed material, and Moms for Liberty and Clean Up Alabama don't want our kids to learn about sex. So yeah, we have some of the highest rates of teenage pregnancy in the nation. They expect those teenagers to raise a child, but they cannot check out a book about sex ed from their public library. I know, right? So there's this bill, HB 4, and I'm holding it in my hand, and basically it says, if they strip the obscenity exemption from their public schools and public libraries, parents can complain about any book they define as obscene. It also redefines obscenity to include sexual intercourse. Well, okay. So are you going to ban all the romance sections? I think there's going to be some women mad that they can't check out their 50 Shades of Grey. So, all right. So, but not only that, they want to ban expression, gender expression. They want to ban you from wearing clothes that expresses what you identify as. They're going after your personal clothing choices. Even more than that, they said sexually aggressive. So ladies, or anyone who identifies as that, if you're wearing clothes that might show just a little bit of cleavage, you're breaking the law. So they're policing our bodies, all wrapped in this bill called HB4, and you can read it for yourself.
Except on Saturday nights.
Are you angry?
Yeah!
Good. So this is what I need you to do. I need you to call your representatives, your state senators, and your state, state House of State Representatives too, and tell them, you know what? We're not doing this bill. We're going to kill it. We're going to stop it. It is unconstitutional. It steps on your right as a parent and as an American and as a person to have free will in choosing how you choose to live. And it targets people, particularly our trans community, that they want to eliminate. And so they are doing everything they can to impose their small-souled, small-minded ways on the rest of us. And guess what? It's not popular across party lines. If in Coleman, Alabama, there is disagreement over lifestyles, but an essential respect for people to choose the reading material, then I think we can be successful in uniting everyone to push back against these bills.
Fight for the First Amendment. Freedom.
I've got one more thing that I also want to read here. Moms for Liberty has not stopped at pressuring lawmakers to do their bidding, their dirty work. I want to read an email that we received from Emily Jones, who is the Madison County chapter leader and has been at the forefront of all this. At one point, she was even a paid lobbyist for Moms for Liberty. I think it's 2023. You can look that up. Here it is. Dated February 19th, 2025. Joyful Warriors. Over the last year, many positive changes at the State Library Board, APLS, and local library boards have helped remove sexually obscene material from minors at public libraries. The APLS board passed a new policy in 2024 that defines obscenity and limits state funding if local libraries do not update their policies. That's not in the code, by the way. Just for your information, that's not what the code wrote. President Trump released several executive orders that apply to any agency receiving federal funding. Entities that do not comply with these EOs can potentially lose federal funds. It should be of great concern that Alabama public libraries comply and remove all library books that conflict with these directives so that federal and state funding is not at risk. It gets even better. Moms for Liberty will be utilizing a subcommittee across the state to investigate local library systems and help ensure compliance with state and federal guidelines. We encourage our members and concerned citizens to take picture of books, including the label with location within the library. Please send your findings to the APLS Chairman John Wall and CC this email address in your message. We are working closely with Mr. Wall and the APLS board to ensure statewide compliance. They are now policing our libraries. Who elected them and who gave them the legal authority to do so? Yeah. So this is what's going on. So here's some really quick to-do tips. These people are showing up at their local libraries. They're showing up at their city council, their state council, and the legislature. It's a lot of work to keep a democracy. I hear you. All of us are so busy. Many of us are working. Many of us are raising children. So you might feel like, okay, this is so overwhelming. What can I do? It's easy to send a donation, but what right now we need people in the room saying no and to keep showing up, because John Wall completely dismissed a bunch of parents from Baldwin County when they said, you are disrespectful to us as parents. And he said, no, the state government is making sure our local library is safe for our children. You have to show him, no, I'm a parent, I'm a citizen, I'm a resident. you do not speak for me. This is not your job. And that's not what a library's purpose is anyways. Their mission is to provide material for everyone, even the people we disagree with. So let's get busy and let's start resisting. Thank you so much. By the way, we have postcards to send to your state representatives. I almost called her Emily, so sorry. Melanie has them and is passing them out. Feel free to take some, send them in. We have action pages at Read Freely, Alabama, where you can call the Judiciary Committee. That will be coming out shortly. Sign up for our emails and join our group. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. I've been going to these library meetings. That's actually how I started with my activism. I saw Moms for Liberty come in and just do a pageantry, yelling all kinds of obscenities that they claim to be against in the library that they're trying to police. I don't know about y'all, but I hate hypocrites. I hate them, can't stand them, but you know, that's what it is. I just got this, I don't know, but this is a little bit of an alert here. Have you guys seen this man missing? Missing Dale Strong, okay, just keep that in mind. All right, let's do one more thing real quick before we introduce our next guest. I want to get a chant going real quick. It's a call and repeat. I'll say united we stand, you say divided we fall, okay? So let's try it. United we stand, divided we fall. United we stand, divided we fall. United we stand, divided we fall. A little bit louder, one more time. United we stand, divided we fall. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here we go, we have Tasha. She's going to give us a history lesson real quick.
Okay, my name is Tasha. I'm a historian and a native Alabamian with a passion for education. I would like to speak to those who are new to this fight by starting with a quote from Martin Niemöller, a veteran of World War I. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then, they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Now, like most Protestant pastors at the time, he was a national conservative, like some of you might be. He voted several times for what was officially the National Socialist German Workers' Party. The party preached Germany first, and followed a period of expanding freedoms in the country. But the nation's economy had been destroyed by World War I. The Institution for Sexual Research in Berlin helped pave the way for transgender people to live authentically at the time. But at the same time, Germans had to burn their own money to stay warm during the winter. Okay, thank you. Sorry. You're good. Fear and discontent had been sown, and the National Socialist German Workers' Party promised to reunify Germany and take it away from those who were anti-German or not German enough. History remembers this party as the Nazi Party. But the quote I read is from 1946 and is emblazoned in a permanent exhibit at the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. So, how did a former supporter of the Nazi Party come to have this profound revelation? He began to simply criticize the government and was arrested in 1937 as a result. When in the Stockenhausen concentration camp, Niemöller was asked by his cellmate, Leo Stein, why he ever supported the Nazi Party. He replied, quote, "I find myself wondering that too. I wonder about it as much as I regret it. Still, it is true that Hitler betrayed me. I had an audience with him as a representative of the Protestant Church in 1932. Hitler promised me he would protect the church and not issue any anti-church laws. He also agreed not to allow any violent riots against the Jews, assuring me as follows, quote, there will be restrictions against the Jews, but there will be no ghettos, no violence in Germany, end quote. Mueller continued, I really believed, given the widespread anti-Semitism in Germany at the time, that the Jews should avoid aspiring to government positions or even seats in parliament. There were many Jews, especially among the Zionists, who took a similar stand. On the other hand, I hated the growing atheistic movement, which was fostered and promoted by social democrats and communists. Their hostility towards the church made me pin my hopes on Hitler for a while. I am paying for that mistake now, and not me alone, but thousands of other persons like me. History tends to remember this regretful Niemöller. The Niemöller turned his back on the Nazis and spoke out against them. The man who changed his mind once he opened it to new perspectives. To relate it to today, if you are new to this fight, history will likely look on you in a similar fashion. You started looking around before it was too late and caring about the people, the Americans, your neighbors around you. Our strength is empathy. Our weakness is division. We are so proud of you for being here. Thank you.
Well done. I think we all need to hear that more, right? I see a lot of signs. Hold up your anti-fascist sign if you have one. Let me see them. I've seen a lot of them. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. That and everything else that we've talked about. Exercising our First Amendment right peacefully like we should. Just give me one more moment and we're going to introduce our next guest.
Can you pronounce my last name? Right there. Can you pronounce my last name? That's right. I got it.
This is Candace.
I'm gonna get off my notes.
Hey, Candace!
Can you guys hear me?
No!
No. What happened?
No.
He turned it off. Rude. All right. I got notes. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming out today, and thanks for taking a stand and starting this accountability week off right. My name is Candace Duviel. It is a tough one to pronounce. I am a mother. I am the wife of a disabled veteran. I'm an American. And y'all, I'm fed up with this mess. We the people are mad, and for good reason. Our current administration is waging war on and dismissing our allies. An unelected, unqualified billionaire influencer has been empowered to dismantle federal programs that you and me and everyone else in this country rely on. The world is judging us, the people, based on the unfounded and uncredentialed actions of a shoddy businessman. And we the people are paying the price for it. Our representatives are opting out of their responsibility to us, the American people. And it's high time we make it clear that opting out is not an option. The executive branch, thank you. The executive branch is playing chicken with the judicial branch, and the legislative branch is sitting by watching it happen. Our Constitution is being trampled. The president is very publicly and very deliberately mocking the very document that protects our democracy. Our representatives have the audacity to dismiss us with a form letter. We're in an all-out trade war with Canada, and our allies are publicly debating whether or not they can trust us. And our representatives gaslight us with, this is what he campaigned on. Is it? People are losing their jobs, access to medical care, benefits they paid for. Our veterans are being hung out to dry, and the stock market is crashing. And again, our representatives gaslight us. The stock market was just too high under Biden. This administration is ruining lives at home and abroad. Relationships that have been established over hundreds of years of diplomacy are being decimated, and our representatives say nothing. Our representatives are making it very clear that they feel no responsibility to us, the people. And I'm here because I care about our country. I care about its inhabitants, and I believe in the more perfect union that our founders wrote about. A more perfect union made up of a diverse and beautiful group of people. A more perfect union that valued people over profit. America used to be a symbol the world over of diverse people building a better life for themselves and their community. And believe me when I say it will again. I know it will again because I've read the history books and I can say without a doubt that division never wins. So we have to stick together, stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves, and make sure that we're heard. We all have a little power inside of us, and some days it's easier than others to act on it. But when you can, find that one thing that you have the power to do and do it. You all showed up today. Together, our little acts will add up and we will realize our collective power. Because division never wins. Can everyone say that with me? Division never wins. Division never wins. Division never wins. Thank you all.
Thank you, Candace. That was very inspiring, and I love to hear about the veterans who are, well, I don't love to hear, but I love hearing from veterans. And I know we take our constitutional oath seriously. If you're a veteran and you took your oath to the Constitution seriously, raise your hand like this. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate your sacrifice, and from one veteran to another, thank you for your service. That means a lot to us. Now, I don't know who's next, but I want to get us another chant going real quick. So it goes like this, and we're going to say it together. The people united can never be defeated. The people united can never be defeated. The people united can never be defeated.
The people united can never be defeated. The people united can never be defeated.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You know, Margaret likes to tell us that we're paid. Anybody being paid to be here? I would do this for free, and I am. I would go to their house and do it. They better not come to my house, though. They're not going to like what happens. All right, guys, we got our next speaker coming up. Just hang tight. We got Remus here. He's going to talk a little bit about Black Lives Matter and things that affect his community as well.
The people united can never be defeated. The people united can never be defeated. The people united can never be defeated. I make eye contact with everyone because we're here together for the same reason, right? We're all under the same umbrella this time, which makes us even stronger. So I'm happy to see all of the new faces, those who raised their hands their first time. I'm happy to see all of those faces who always come out, who have signs that they've had for years, signs that I've seen for 5+ years, some for 20. Hopefully we don't have to pass those signs down to our kids or our kids' kids, right? Hopefully those signs stop here. So let's get our hands in the air for yourselves. Let's make a big fist. Power to the people. Power to the people. Now keep that hand up and reach behind you and pat yourself on the back. Because none of this would happen without you. None of this can happen without us. We are a very small minutia of the people that are here who are affected. We are here carrying the load for all of those people who can't come out because their job won't allow it. We're here carrying the load for those people who can't come out because they're afraid of what their family will say to them. We have the responsibility to carry this torch for everyone who can't come out because we are all in this together. No one can believe that there's a certain group that's unaffected. We make up the 98%. We're not a part of the 2% billionaires and millionaires.
That's right.
So we can't have a government that's making decisions based off of the 2%.
That's right. That's right.
He claimed to have won the popular vote, but he also claimed that if Elon didn't come through and help him rig this election, he probably wouldn't have won either. So this 98% here, this small minutia that represents the 98% needs to stand tall and not allow this man to create a kingdom, because we will not bend the knee. We will stand for democracy. We will not bend the knee. We will stand for democracy. We will not bend the knee. We will stand for democracy. Believe that. Hold on to that. Because there's some faces out here that aren't old enough to vote. They're depending on us. I don't want this government to be passed on to my kids. I don't want this young lady here to have to deal with what's coming next if we don't do our job. I don't want us to have to explain why we didn't stand up when we had the opportunity. Why we didn't put pressure on those who represent us.
That's right.
You can put pressure on representatives in other states. You don't have to just keep ringing the doorbell of this missing man on the milk carton. He's not showing up. He doesn't show up. He runs. I don't blame him. Because all of these paid protesters here who are coming for him to ask him all of the difficult questions he couldn't pass in grade school. We all have basic needs. It makes sense. Why would I show up if I know you're going to demand accountability? If you're going to demand me to be transparent? If you're going to hold me to my words, why would I show up? Why do I want to hold a town hall?
He's also really stupid.
He's that part too, sir. Everyone is affected. The problem is, it breaks my heart, he is in a district that are full of federal workers. How the hell do you just justify that? How do you sleep at night knowing that?
Good question.
That's where your passion should come from. This community is built on federal workers. We're all in this together. I speak the way I speak because I'm passionate about this. I have family members who were in the military. I know people who live and work side by side with us here who are in the military, who are federal workers, who are veterans, disabled and otherwise, who are being affected. We have to do this for them, for us. Our finances are being hit. I don't know how many people here have 401ks, but those who do and those who don't are all suffering the same. They fed into the lie. How do you believe an honest man? You believe an honest man when he shows himself to be honest. They fed into the lie. He tricked them all. He tricked them all. And now it's our job to help unravel these lies that he spread. Unravel the lies that he has them believing. It's like a cult, right? It's like a cult. You believe something, you don't give yourself the opportunity to process it, you just blindly follow the footsteps in front of you. Why? Why should we allow that to happen? These are your neighbors. These are the people that are helping building our city up. We need to tear it down. We need to unravel these lies. We need to spread truth. We need to let them know that, hey, listen, you didn't get what it was that you were thinking you were going to get because now your farm is closing? Come here. Let me put my arm around you because we're all in this together. This isn't just a one-person show. We're all in this together. And the sooner we understand that, we realize that we're not enemies. I see faces here who I probably wouldn't have seen at the Black Lives Matter protests. I'm okay with that. Because we're all suffering from the same thing. We're all having to deal with the exact same con.
Unity.
And that's the only thing that's going to help us win this. It's unity. Because the people united will never, can never be defeated. Greater are those who are in your shoes than those who are making decisions on our behalf. So we have to put pressure. The onus is on you guys, on me, on us. We have to pressure them. We have to hold them accountable. Because we will not bend the knee. We will stand for democracy. And we are people of action. So when I say, what do we want? And when do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? And if we don't get it, we're going to have to shut it down. That means we're going to have to stop giving our money to these oligarchs. We're going to have to stop buying their cars. We're going to have to stop patronizing their business. We're going to have to hit them where it hurts. We have to do something. There was a chance and there was a time period where some of you could just sit back and allow the government to do its thing in autopilot. Why? Because you knew ultimately the government will work out for people who look like you. I come from a line of people who always had to fight the government. Always had to fight the government, tooth and nail. So now welcome to the fight. Welcome. We've made space for you. You didn't believe us when we told you. But now I need you to see that what we were telling you wasn't a lie. It's just now, unfortunately, you guys are standing on the same side of this as we are. And by we, I don't just mean people who look like me. I mean the poor, the oppressed, those who are sick, those who don't get representation in the hospitals, those who don't get representation on their jobs. All of those people. We are now them because we are not the 2%. Even though there might be some 2%ers hiding in here. Nothing wrong with that. If you're using your wealth for good, I have no problem with it.
We take donations.
We take donations. Right? So ultimately, I just wanted to remind you guys. And I say you guys because obviously I'm probably not from Alabama.
It's y'all.
But it's y'all. So I'm here to remind y'all that we have to hold the line for all of those who aren't out here, for all of those who are suffering just like us. We're going to have to engage. This week, I had the opportunity to send postcards. We flooded the White House with postcards. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest. 20500. I wrote that about 7 or 8 times on a postcard. We got to do our part. Every little bit counts. So, I hope you all feel empowered to know what's next. What's next is action. What's next is you go and tell someone else. What's next is you sit with the person next to you in your pew at church or in your cubicle at work or wherever you may be and spread this message because this is what's going to change things. We can't sit back and hope that it changes itself because it's not going to happen. So we will not bend the knee. We will stand for democracy. We will not bend the knee. We will stand for democracy. We will not bend the knee. We will stand for democracy. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh my God, I'm ready to run to Washington. How about you? What a speech, what a speech. I love it. And he is the real deal, guys. He's come to a lot of protests. He talks a lot about this. And when he said we're on that side, and maybe you didn't know it before. Maybe today you just woke up and you're like, yeah, we got to fight for our rights. I didn't think I would have to. I get a little depressed sometimes when I think like what it could have been if we would just been a couple more people voting, a couple more people would have gotten active. But I do always like to look for the silver linings, and I have always believed that we were in the majority, but we just got complacent maybe, or we just didn't get loud enough, or we didn't talk to our family because no one wants to talk about politics. But I don't know about you, I've lost a lot of relationships, but for every one, I gained about 10 more, all right? So keep that in mind as we continue to build our community, as we continue to fight this fascist regime, because that's what I call it. It's nothing but that. Nobody elected Elon, so we're just going to leave it at that. I got more to say about it. But I want to introduce our next guest, Gregory Bentley. Sorry, I had to ask him 4 times and I still forgot.
Yeah, my name is Bentley, but I don't have Bentley money. How good and pleasant it is to see this gathering and mobilization of good folk who are about building a better world. I want to start by reading something that a long-distance runner for justice and champion for democracy penned a few days ago, Ralph Nader. This is a piece that he penned, y'all bear with me, and it's titled "Stay Silent and Stay Powerless Against Trump's Tyranny." There are reasons why influential or knowledgeable Americans are staying silent as the worsening fascist dictatorship of the Trumpsters and Musketeers gets more entrenched by the day. Most of these reasons are simple cover for cowardice. Start with the once powerful Bush family dynasty. They despise Trump as he does them. Rich and comfortable George W. Bush is very proud of his administration's funding of AIDS medicine, saving lives in Africa and elsewhere. Trump, driven by vengeance and megalomania, moved immediately to dismantle this program. Immediate harm commenced to millions of victims in Africa and elsewhere who are reliant on this U.S. assistance, including programs to lessen the health toll on people afflicted by tuberculosis and malaria. Not a peep from George W. Bush, preoccupied with his landscape painting and perhaps occasional pains of guilt from his butchery in Iraq. Y'all forgot about that, didn't you? His signal program is going down in flames, and he keeps his mouth shut, as he has largely done since the upstart loudmouth Trump ended the Bush family's power over the Republican Party. Then there are the Clintons and Obama. I got smoke for everybody today. They are very rich and have no political aspirations. Yet, though horrified by what they see Trump doing to the government and its domestic social safety net services they once ruled, mom's the word. What are these politicians afraid of as they watch the overthrow of our government and the oncoming police state? And that's not hyperbole, that's real. Trump, after all, was not elected to become a dictator, declaring war on the American people with his firings and smashing of critical people's programs that benefit liberals and conservatives, red state and blue state residents alike. Do they fear being discomforted by Trump, Musk unleashing hate and threats against them, and getting tarred by Trump's tirades and violent incitations? No excuses. No excuses. Regard for our country must take precedence to help galvanize their own constituencies to resist tyranny and fight for democracy. This is not a game.
No excuses! No excuses!
No excuses. No excuses.
No excuses!
All right. What about Kamala Harris?
Yeah, what about it?
The hapless loser to Trump in November's presidential election. She must think she has something to say on behalf of the 75 million people who voted for her or against Trump. Silence. She is perfect bait for Trump's intimidation tactics. She is afraid to tangle with Trump despite his declining polls, rising inflation, the falling stock market, and anti-people budget slashing, which is harming her supporters and Trump voters' economic well-being, health, and safety. Don't get quiet on me now. This phenomenon of going dark is widespread. Regulators and prosecutors who were either fired or quit in advance have not risen to defend their own agencies and departments, if only to elevate the morale of those civil servants remaining behind and under siege? Why aren't we hearing from Gary Gensler, former head of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, now being dismantled, especially since the SEC is dropping his cases against alleged cryptocurrency crooks? Why aren't we hearing much more, she wrote an op-ed, from Samantha Power, the former head of the U.S. Agency for International Development under Biden, whose life-saving agency is literally being illegally closed down, but for pending court challenges? Why aren't we hearing from Michael Regan, head of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency under Biden, about saboteur Lee Zeldin, Trump's head of EPA, who is now giving green lights to lethal polluters and other environmental destructions? These and many other former government officials all have their own circles. In some cases, millions of people who need to hear from them. This is not the time for cowardice. This is the time to stand up. This is the time to make your voice heard. Lead. Don't just hold a title as former president. Don't just hold a title as former. Stand up and defend democracy. They can take some courage of the 7 former IRS commissioners, the Republican and Democratic administrations, who condemned the slicing the IRS staff in half and aiding and abetting big-time tax evasion by the undertaxed super rich and giant corporations. I am told that they would be eager to testify should the Democrats in Congress have the energy to hold unofficial hearings as ranking members of the Senate Finance and House Ways and Means Committees. And I want to say here parenthetically, every Democrat that voted for this spending bill needs to be primaried, including Chuck Schumer. Every Democrat that voted to censure Al Green for standing up for the people needs to be primary. Send their behinds home. If you can't stand for the people, I almost said something, take your behind home. Bonding together is one way of reducing the fear factor. After Trump purged the career military at the Pentagon to put his own yes men at the top, 5 former secretaries of defense who served under both Democratic and Republican presidents sent a letter to Congress denouncing Trump's firing of senior military officers and requesting immediate House and Senate hearings to assess the national security implications of Mr. Trump's dismissals. Not a chance by the GOP majority there, but they could ask the Democrats to hold unofficial hearings. But that would take some courage. As ranking members of the Armed Services Committees, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, one of my favorites, can be one of the prime witnesses at these hearings. He has no fear of speaking his mind against the Trumpsters. On March 6, 2025, the Washington bureau chief of the New York Times, Elizabeth DeMiller, put her rare byline on an urgent report titled, "People Are Going Silent, Fearing Retribution. Trump Critics Muzzle Themselves." She writes, the silence grows louder every day. 5 federal workers are worried about losing their homes, asked not to be quoted by name. University presidents, one exception is Wesleyan University President Michael Roth, peace be to President Roth, fearing that millions of dollars in federal funding could disappear, are holding their fire. Chief executives alarmed by tariffs that could hurt their businesses are on mute. To be sure, government employees and other unions are speaking out and suing in federal court. So are national citizens groups like Public Citizen and the Center for Constitutional Rights, though hampered in alerting large audiences by newspapers like the Times rarely reporting their initiatives. Yes, Mrs. Von Miller, pay attention to that aspect of your responsibility. Moreover, the Times editorial page are not adequately reflecting the urgency of her reporting. nor are her reporters covering the informed outspokenness and actions of civic organizations. Don't self-censoring people know that they are helping the Trumpian dread, threat, and fear machine get worse? Study Germany and Italy in the 1930s. The Trump, Musk, lawless, cruel, arrogant, dictatorial regime is in our White House. Their police state infrastructure is in place. Silence is complicity. Silence is complicity. And I just want to say this. We're at a point where we have two choices. Either we will band together and build a world of mutual aid in which we watch out for one another, or we would strive to go back to the status quo ante in which we just look out for our own selfish interests, which allowed this to take place. We got to take some responsibility as a people that we fell asleep at the wheel. But we're awake now, and we're ready to go. And we need leaders who have courage. I don't care about all your degrees. I don't care that you went to Harvard and Yale. If you don't have any courage, sit down and let somebody lead who has some courage. Let's go and let's get this done.
Oh my God, who's fired up? Oh my God. I can listen to him all day. We've had some incredible speakers, right? Let's hear it. The crowd is getting bigger. Alabama hears you. They're going to hear you in Washington. They're going to hear you in Montgomery. We're done with this nonsense. That guy was Greg, and I cannot remember his last name. See, you guys all know. I'm horrible with names. Please don't hold that against me. I had to get a list. All right. Thank you. All right, so up next we got Robin Dama. She is from the Blue Apple Bookstore, and she's got some stuff to talk about. We got about 4 or 5 more speakers, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to keep your energy up. I love you guys. You're doing great. Let's see those signs. Hold those signs up. We can't see them down there. Oh, my God. Love it. It's all good. All right, Robin, it's all yours.
Thank you so much for having me here today. It's an honor to be among you. Thank you. I'm going to talk for just a minute about a topic that involves every one of us. It touches every family, every community, and every future leader. No matter what your stage of life is, the dismantling of the Department of Education is a threat we must take seriously. And dare I say, especially in states like Alabama, where our legislature is not going to make up the gap for the funding and the efforts that are in place to protect students. So whether you're a parent or not, I know that you understand the significance of this. So let's talk about it. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am proud to be a retired public educator. My career spanned 28 years. I started my career teaching at-risk preschoolers at a Head Start program in Washington State. Before my husband and I moved to Huntsville 30 years ago this week. I then spent 26 years teaching in schools here in Madison County. 14 years teaching middle school gifted and talented students who will be left behind by this as well. Where's my former, okay, you don't have to raise your hands. But I know you're out there. And 12 years teaching high school English. My husband and I also raised 4 children who now range in age from 18 to 20. Along the way, I earned a master's degree in education, and I taught every grade level from 4th to 12th. And they all have their pros and cons, they all have their special needs and their special circumstances. After I retired, I worked for a local nonprofit organization doing recruitment for their vocational education program, and I believe we should be educating people for the trades. Manufacturing is important, but so is access to all levels of education. I am proud of what I accomplished during my career. I was not a perfect teacher. I know there's some other educators in the crowd, and I know all of us can look back and cringe and go, that was not a good day. But we did it. We met those kids where they were, and we should be proud to be educators. So thank you. If you're currently in a classroom, whether that's in any kind of school, thank you for what you do. So let's talk about the Department of Education. It is the object of debate, and I get that. There's lots of things that we could talk about with how things might be organized at the federal level. Whatever. We've all heard it ad nauseum over the last couple of months, haven't we? However, let's consider what the impact of this is going to be. The DOE serves a crucial role in ensuring that every child, everyone, just think of a child that you know. Just think of a face right now. Neighbor, niece, nephew, your own child. Every one of those deserves access to a free and appropriate public education. Which, by the way, FAPE is an acronym, just like IDEA, that our newly appointed Department of Education lead didn't even know after she got the job. The Department of Education provides funding for schools, but it also ensures that educational standards are upheld, and it offers support to the most vulnerable populations, such as, and you all know this, students with disabilities of all types, students from low-income families who need those meals. They need help with school supplies, notebooks, pencils, the simplest things. And English language learners, which of course is a whole category that leads to other things that they don't like. But today we're faced with the question, well, what will happen if this agency is dismantled? So let's just break it down. Let's consider Alabama. Many of the districts in Alabama already struggle with equity and access. And now we're going to take away additional funding? They have fewer resources. You know, you could even say, oh, well, we'll be okay here in Huntsville. Well, you wouldn't be here if you didn't have the heart to think about other people. I was just at the reading festival at the Orion, where my store has a booth. And I was talking to a parent, and she even said she and her husband had considered moving, and they knew that if they moved to a more rural area, their son would not have the advocacy. He's on the autism spectrum, he has an IEP. This is important to this family. And she's like, we couldn't do it, even though it would have been a really good move for our family. And she teared up thinking about what decisions they might have to make if he doesn't have the support that he needs. And all of you probably can tell a story like that. The conservative legislatures in these states are not going to fill in the gaps. We know this. They don't care. It's not going to probably impact their own child, and so who cares? You're exactly right. The schools that then will be forced to make decisions. They're thinking about the child, but they're also thinking about the PE teacher. They have staffing to think about. They have electric bills to think about. It's going to affect everybody in a school system, and most of all the students, of course, but administrators are going to have impossible decisions to make. And most of them are great people. Most of them are really trying to do the most without a lot of money, especially in our state. So, what kind of choices will they have to make? Do they cut more teachers? Do they reduce the services for special needs students so that they only have one aide in that classroom instead of two? Do they take away extracurricular activities? Does art, music, band, do those things go away? How many of you enjoyed those classes where you were in school? Should that be just for the privileged few? Absolutely not. I guarantee you that there are people in this crowd who could tell you stories that those programs are what kept them in school. And maybe sports too. Like, I don't disagree with that as well. Those extra things are going to be on the chopping block first. The budgets don't lie. You have to have the teachers in the classroom. Everything else is optional. Those students deserve to have programs that feed their creativity, that feed them the things that they need as a person. It doesn't need to be just a privilege to have that kind of meaningful education. It needs to be a right. So then we need to consider these rural school districts. And again, I'm sure all of you know, if we drive 30, 40 minutes in any direction, you've got schools that are barely hanging on. They've been closing schools in rural districts. And I can't even imagine how they're going to continue on without federal funding. Those communities use schools for so much. Meal programs, summer programs. What are those kids going to do? What kind of neglect are we facilitating when we leave those children without their neighborhood schools, or even schools that are miles away from them? The other option to think about is losing equity. The Department of Education enforces civil rights laws. We talked about the IDEA, we talked about free and appropriate public education. Those things should not be negotiable. There are regulations that would just be ignored. I've been there. Some of you have been there. Those things would not be important to certain schools if someone was not looking over their shoulder and coming in and saying, "Are you really doing that? Show us the proof." Because the path of least resistance is easiest. So when someone comes and says, "Oh no, you have to use these funds this way," there's a little bit of accountability. I'm not saying it's perfect. Maybe there does need to be some streamlining. Fine. Just like with so many other things. But to put it in the trash is not right. The next matter is college affordability. The DOE manages the federal student loan system. I know my 4 children had to use student loans, and I guarantee you some of you and your children have had to utilize student loans. For the good and the bad, we can talk about why that's needed, but it is needed. So to get that relegated to the states, I can't even imagine what the state of Alabama is going to do or not do to support student loans.
Rights are the same everywhere.
That's right. Tuition costs will then skyrocket because students are not going to have the access, and then we've got an exacerbated problem. Sure, we have that good trade training that I mentioned earlier, but are those the only jobs we want Alabama students to aim for? Do we really want there to be fewer doctors, physical therapists, and engineers who grew up in Alabama who want to stay here? Do we want them all to leave and have what is termed a brain drain? I hope not. And again, I know we in Huntsville are kind of insulated and we think, oh, they're going to be fine. But think about that child in Wetumpka or in Greene County. I don't know. They're already facing an uphill battle, and we're going to make it harder for them. National standards are also an issue, and I don't want to get too deep into educational terminology, but educational standards are important. Again, it's not a perfect system. When you move from state to state, there's all kind of chaos sometimes, but at least there are standards. If you take the ACT, people know what that means in Missouri or in Maine. But if every state is able to choose, they're going to choose nothing because it's not important. I would just tell you in closing that in my opinion, dismantling the Department of Education would not just be a political statement. It would be an immediate, tangible blow to the students, parents, and educators in the state of Alabama. The loss of funding, the erosion of educational equity, and the dismantling of support systems that are crucial for precious children. They don't have anybody else on their side. Would leave millions of them without the resources they need to succeed. Education is not just the foundation of a nation's future, it's the lifeline for all children, no matter where they live. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting your local educators. Thank a teacher this week. And I'll turn it back over to our MC.
Thank you, Robin Dama. Wow, I mean, there's so much going on right now. So many things being cut They're flooding the zone, right? Quote unquote. They're flooding the zone. You've heard that before. Let me tell you, I'm happy to be a public school student, raised in the public system. I loved it. I'm blessed to be a child of the 90s. I'm not so happy that my kids have to grow up in this environment. I'll just be honest with you. Teachers like her, they make the difference. They really do. My heroes, some of my heroes are teachers from the public school. Right? Let's hear it. Let's hear it for public service. There's nothing lazy about public service. Underpaid, underappreciated. Always. Our next guest is Alex from the North Alabama Liberal Agenda. If you have an LGBT sign, I want to see it right now. I want to see it right now, everybody. And let me hear it. Let me hear it. Come on, Alex. Come on up here.
Hello, I am Alex Morehouse. I'm officially a lesbian. And I guess it's time to figure out what it is I'm going to talk about. I see a whole lot of familiar faces. I have seen some of you since we've been fighting for marriage equality and since we went through all the shit in 2020 when we used to hang out on street corners all the time. And most of y'all, because I've had a big mouth and I've spoken once or twice or a dozen times in public, most of y'all know that I am married. My wife and I have been together 30 years. And we have an amazing son. He is 21 now. We adopted him when he was a tiny baby, and I do mean tiny, and he wound up being 6'6", and he's a big boy, and he's black, and he's autistic, and I probably don't have to explain to you how scary that can be sometimes in public. As he's gotten older, he's gotten a lot calmer these days. He's pretty awesome, but when he was younger, we went through some scary times. I can't tell you the terror of having to call the police because your son is physically stronger than you and he's harming you, and at the same time, you're terrified because you had to call the police and your son is black-skinned.
It's okay, Alex, we got you.
And I can't tell you how deep in my heart that fear goes. He's my precious baby boy, and when he's out in public, y'all see a 6.5 foot tall black man. You don't see my baby boy. Well, again, I suppose I should be talking about being queer, and y'all know what's going on. You know that they're chasing transgender people out of the Army. And the question I have is, if it's all about saving our tax dollars, why are you kicking somebody out who is fully trained, fully qualified, and doing his damn job? And Trump, of all people, dares to say that transgender people lack honor. How dare he? How dare that pond scum let that word come out of his mouth? And Texas is literally making it illegal to be transgender. I wish the hell I was making this up. They are making a law. Being transgender is fraud. Iowa's right behind them, just took civil rights away from transgender people. My nibbling, who is 20 and a college student in Iowa, they is the child of my sister. So yeah, it's a little personal. And going back to the autism thing, my wife has been telling me ever since we adopted this baby boy that we're just alike. Well, it turns out she was right, because I'm not just weird, I am autistic. And have you heard how Trump has been talking about us, autistic people, lately? Like we've just crawled out from under a rock, and what are we doing here? My God, we're daring to live our lives just like transgender people and black people and Jews and Puerto Ricans and everybody else. You've heard some version of this from everybody that stood up here. The only thing that will save us is unity. When black people stand in front of queer people who are standing in front of Ukrainian refugees, who are standing in front of the Hispanic and Latino people that produce our food, we're a lot stronger. We really have to open our minds and our hearts to everybody. I want to mention two tiny little details, but they're just things that I noticed on Facebook recently. And if you're here, I'm sorry, I don't mean to embarrass you. Somebody recently posted a comment about people who sleep without top sheets. And how can we stand it? And you're laughing, and it's kind of funny, but one of the things that I've accepted about myself as being autistic is that I have some really strange preferences, like in terms of textures and things. And yeah, I'm sleeping with my soft fuzzy blanket on top of me, that side, because it's softer than the other side. So I'm not a slob, I'm just autistic. And the other example left my head because I'm also ADHD. And my people are here. My neurodiverse people, my queer people, my people in transgender families, my people in multiracial families. The shit's hitting the fan. I will say the word shit because I'm not a pastor. The shit's hitting the fan, guys. And we need more than just words. And that's where we start. We start with the words, we start with the postcards, we start with this, and we keep going. You come to the next protest and you talk to somebody, you tell your friend, you know, this is important because we're fighting for this and this is how it affects you. I'm on a leash. And you bring them with you. And you find some point of common connection. You know what? You stand for Ukraine, me too. Me too. I want this country to protect Ukrainian refugees. I want this country to stand up to terrorism, not promote it. I want a leader who understands he was put in office by the United States population, not by Russians. And it all comes back to unity. It's got to be. We must stand together. It's incredibly trite because it's freaking true. We will stand together or we will hang separately. Those are our options. So if you're here right now, that means you accept the whole thing, the whole alphabet. That means you stand with religious freedom for Jews, for Muslims, for Sikhs, for Buddhists, and everybody else. You don't have to agree for unity. I don't have to agree with what a Muslim believes, or a Jew believes, or anybody else, or anybody other religion, to accept the fact that they have the same damn right to their beliefs as I do to mine. I am cisgender. I cannot imagine being born into a body that I wasn't comfortable in. Because, you know, again, I'm a lesbian. I love my body. I love her body. I don't have to understand what it's like to be transgender, to be willing to stand with, next to, in front of transgender people. I don't have to speak Spanish to stand up for Hispanic and Latino people. And guess what? I just had my DNA done. I am not Ukrainian or Mexican. It doesn't matter. Unity has got to be the buzzword. It's got to be. It is our only solution. It is our only way out of this. Because individually, they will continue to knock us all down just like they've already started doing. If we leave transgender people to be thrown out in the damn trash, who's next? So, I thank everybody who came out today. I am a veteran, I am a lesbian, I am physically disabled, I live with mental health, I am autistic, and I have a black son. I am a walking, talking piece of, what's that word? Intersectionality. You know, this is who we are. We're not separated unless we let them separate us. So I want to see you tomorrow. I want to see you every day this week. And next time we gather, I want you to bring one friend.
Listen, I know a lot of you probably don't have queer friends or queer neighbors or don't even know, and it's really important to hear these personal stories, right? You have to. If you've never heard a story like that, because MAGA only believes in anecdotal experience, and they didn't expect it to happen to them. They wanted it to happen to someone, not them, right? But that's not how government works. Government has its fingers in everybody's pockets. Government will touch everyone soon enough. I got an announcement to make very quickly. The officers wanted me to inform you that if you parked on that road, you need to move ASAP. Right there. So if you parked over there, move your vehicle, please. All right, I did my diligence. Next up, we got Austin from Democratic Socialists of America, Alabama.
How y'all doing? All right, my name is Austin. I'm the secretary of the North Alabama Democratic Socialists of America. I served 21 years in the Army and 4 deployments across Iraq and Afghanistan. And everything I learned about socialism, I learned from the Constitution and serving in the Army. And I've been homeless and near death in this country. But I'm here today to tell you that I serve you, the good working class folks of Alabama and our cousins all across the world. Because there is an all-out war going on against the working class. And the mission of DSA is to build a mass movement of working class folks to take power from the oligarchs that are destroying the world and trying to make slaves of us all. Today, Musk came out and said we should be working 120 hours a week. Make no mistake, they want you in chains. The chains of medical debt, the chains of low wages, the chains of education debt. They want to replace you with AI and robots. They want to divide this country into techno-feudalist fiefdoms. And if you don't produce, they want to turn you into biofuel. You might think my rhetoric harsh, but all you have to do is look up the dark philosophy that Curtis Yarvin espouses, that Elon Musk abides by, to see the truth of the matter. Now, what are we to do? We join together is what we do and exercise our collective power to fight these fascists. We are grains of sand that all together can grind the gears of the machine to dust. We build unions, we build worker co-ops, we strike, we boycott, we exercise our economic power collectively. We get in their faces, we don't let them sleep. We exercise our power collectively. We build up, not charity, but mutual aid across the state, because they are destroying the safety nets that our predecessors fought for, like Social Security. We support each other collectively. We run for office on policies for the working class at the local, state, and federal level. We take back our power collectively. Now, if that interests you, can I get a hell yeah? If you want to fight fascists and oligarchs, can I get a hell yeah? If you think all the power belongs to all the people and is worth fighting for, can I get a hell yeah? We got local elections coming up. 70% of the local elections are up this November. And we need you or you to find somebody or support somebody to run for office this November. We start taking power, and it starts with you today, planning on how to get elected locally this November and thinking about November 2026 and taking power in the state, House, and Senate. We can change these police budgets and create alternatives to the system we have now that does more harm than good. We can make sure everyone gets to eat and no one goes hungry, especially our children. We can change how our homes are built and make sure no one sleeps in the cold like I had to. Now I'm going to take a moment to talk about my mama. I was on my second deployment to Iraq, a deployment I volunteered for. And one day I was woken up by my squad, my NCO, and my OIC. And the first thing they did was ask me for my weapon. I said, "What's going on?" And pointed to my wall locker. They told me my mama was dead. Took them 3 days to find her and to figure out she was dead. And the reason she died is because a misogynist racist got her fired from a job she had over 20 years. And she lost the ability to buy her heart medicine. She lost her health care. Now, I don't think you should have to serve your country to have health care, because health care is a human right. And the richest country in the history of the world, like all these other countries, we should have Medicare for all. Now, if you want to join me in the Democratic Socialists of America in fighting for a decent life for the working class, can I hear a hell yeah? Today is another step forward in the fight against fascists. There are more actions to take after today. Connect with the people here. Join DSA. Get in where you fit in. All these other countries around the world have socialism. The rich got socialism with all their tax breaks and billions in government contracts that prop them up. The bankers got socialism with all them bailouts. What about the trillions in tax money all these businesses took during COVID? That's our money. And we're going to take it out their hide. Now say it with me. All the power to all the people. We the people shall break our chains together. Now, before I go, I got a podcast, of course. It's called Cornbread and Roses. And if you look up North Alabama DSA on YouTube, you'll find us. We do Sundays at 8. And we talk about what's going on in Alabama, a little bit about the world, and what actions we can take collectively to make things better. Can I hear y'all say cornbread and roses? That's right. Now, thank y'all for the honor of speaking today. And let's hear a cheer for the organizers, speakers, and yourselves. Solidarity forever, folks.
Today, I just got to go ahead and let y'all know I am one too. Guys, listen, we've got so much going for us and so much going against us. So please, do not leave here today, and we're not done just yet, but don't leave here today without talking to people about what you saw here and how inspired you are for the next one, and the one after that, and the one after that, because they're not gonna stop. They're not gonna stop. And we know this, and we were trying to tell people, and maybe you just came here today and you figured it out like a week ago or the 21st of January. I don't really care. Nobody does. We just need to get it out. Stop it. Vote them out. Run for something. Stand for something or fall for anything. And we've all heard all the catchphrases, but now it's time to act. And I'm so inspired, and I will continue to be inspired, and I hope we keep inspiring you. Next up, we have an educator that wants to say a few more words about education.
Thank you. I'm a current educator here in Alabama. I went to college in Alabama, and I've taught in Alabama for 16 years. I have a little list. I was going to say a lot of the things that my friend Robin said here. I'm a national board certified teacher. I teach art. And then also at my school, I lead the GSA, also called the Gay Straight Alliance. Thank you. I had to wait until I was tenured to be allowed to sponsor that, but or to feel confident in sponsoring that. They must allow us to have the GSA, by the way, because they allow other non-academic clubs to exist. So we know that we have federal protection, and we believe that it's really important to have that in the classroom because, or at least at the schools, because we know from the Trevor Project, LGBTQ kids are 40% less likely to have a suicide attempt if there is just one supportive adult in their life. In the beginning of my time at my school, there was a Black History Month program, and when the woman who was overseeing that program left, there was nothing left to do with Black history, so my department decided it was important. We took that on and started doing a Black History Month display every month. When my GSA got involved with it, we started doing a more intersectional Black History Month display in the middle of our school, and this year we were asked to take it down for the first time. I know. Additionally, I have had kids in my classroom who have expressed fear over ICE aids. We now know that ICE is allowed to come into schools and churches and other places where they were not previously allowed. In the state of Alabama, teachers are not allowed to protest with walkouts. So the only thing I've seen that teachers are allowed to do they've actually been doing is wearing black t-shirts. That's all we've got. So if you want to support educators, you want to support children in education, it's up to us to write to the people in our government who are making the choices. We have very little rights as teachers to speak up for ourselves, for our students, for our schools. Additionally, we've talked about the Department of Education being dismantled. Thanks. We know that the people who are burning books are usually not the good people. We know that it's easier to control uneducated masses. So if the leader of the Department of Education is trying to put herself out of a job, she is not working for educators or for students. I want to go forward understanding that I will always, as a teacher, act with compassion. I will teach with humility. I will admit when I am wrong and it happens, and I will always come down and say, you know what, I didn't do that right, because we're setting an example for kids as educators as well. We're their other parents. I had a former student send me a message on Instagram asking me, what do I do? I'm gay, my partner, his job is at risk. We can't get additional employment. How do we survive this? So I asked a very close friend of mine who's a lesbian. You might know her, she runs a comedy club here in Huntsville. She said community. So above everything else that we have to accept amongst each other today, just be in commune with the people around you and recognize that we are each other's safe space. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And there's a common theme here today, guys. They're shutting down our civil responsibilities. They want to, the Department of Education was founded to enforce equity. These people think that they're setting agendas and that they're setting curriculum. That is incorrect. And you got to challenge them when they say that. Next up, we got Jeffrey. He's going to speak to us about workers' rights and union matters.
Good afternoon, y'all. So my name is Jeffrey. I'm with the up-and-coming Movement 5051. It's 50 protests, 50 states, one day. We're going to continue that until we get what we want. And so we have a list of demands, and I need a little bit of call and response here. So when I say remove, when I say reverse, when I say reclaim, all right, here we go. We're going to remove the fascists in power. We are here to remove Musk and Trump. We are here to get them out of our government. He's been impeached twice, third time's a charm. All right, we're here to reverse. We're here to reverse the damage they are doing to our country. We're here to reverse the damage they are doing to our Constitution. Reclaim. We are here to reclaim our voices. We are here to reclaim our community. We are here to reclaim our country. All right? This is what we're here to do, and we're not going to stop. All right, let's go again. Remove. We're here to remove the billionaires. We're here to remove the oligarchs. We're here to remove the money from power. We're here to remove the money from the government so that our voice is heard, not corporations. Reverse. We're here to reverse Citizens United. We're here to get them out. Reclaim. We're here to reclaim our power in our government. We're here to reclaim the accountability of our representatives, of the president, of everybody that we elect. All right, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a story about myself. So about 3 weeks ago, I was laid off by a billionaire, along with 10% of my company. That was over 1,000 people. More than 500 of them were here in Huntsville, Alabama. Dale Strong said nothing about it. So, I'm here to say that we must form community. We must form community as workers. We must form community as people of color. We must form community as white old people. We must form community. Alright? So, I'm going to take the next probably 2 minutes of what time I have. And I'm going to be silent. Turn to somebody you don't know. Introduce yourselves. Get to know your neighbors. Take that time now.
I hope you guys are getting friendly. We need more people on our side. Let's not get everybody scared of each other. Let's be friendly. I appreciate that, Jeffrey. That was a good call. Because there's a lot of people here. Some people have left, but that's okay. There's stuff to do. You can't stay at a protest all day. Some of us have jobs. We're not being paid to be here, or else I would stay longer. No, I wouldn't. I would stay all day if I could. All right, so next up, we got Cheryl Llewellyn. And she's a singer-songwriter from the area. And she's got herself a little ditty she wants to sing for us.
Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm not much of a public speaker, so I'm just going to do what I do best, and that's sing a song. This is called Liberty. Hope you like it. You're telling me how to live my life the way that you want me to. You back me into a corner and force me to push through. It's plain to see this isn't the life for me. We must find the truth and dig through all of this nonsense. Break the method of this madness and get back to reality. Revolution, you're tempting me. We need a revolution. Let us stand up for our rights. Gotta have a resolution. Come together and fight. Who can we turn to? Does anyone understand? Let's get back to the basics. Take back the upper hand. Let us formulate a plan. People out in the streets, standing up for what they believe. Our decisions have become obsolete. Back off my liberty. Thank you so much, guys.
Oh my God, I did not expect that. That was awesome. Let's hear it. That's Cheryl Llewellyn. Amazing, Cheryl. Great job. All right, next up we got Ken. Ken, you're speaking from?
Limestone County, the Athens Indivisible.
Limestone County Athens Indivisible Group.
I know a lot of you. We've been together doing things for a number of years now. Let me talk a little bit about the Constitution. The Constitution was adopted in 1788, 237 years ago. Do you know what the most important part of that Constitution is? It's not any of the 7 articles that are in the Constitution. It's not the first 10 amendments to the Constitution that we call the Bill of Rights. That's not the most important part of it. It's not the other 17 amendments that we've made to the Constitution since that time. The most important part of the Constitution is the first 3 words. We the people. That is the most important part of that Constitution. The reason our Constitution has persisted, has lived for 237 years, is because of those 3 words. We the people. It gives the Constitution to us. We have the authority over the Constitution. We have the right to the benefits and the protections that are provided in the Constitution. Those aren't afforded to some dictator. Those aren't afforded to some government. They're afforded to us, the people. When we decided the Constitution wasn't serving us because it allowed slavery, we fought a civil war to change it. Thousands and thousands of Americans died in that war. Do you know who they were? They were we the people. After the Civil War ended, what did we the people do? We amended our Constitution to prevent that from happening again. When we, the people, realized that we were preventing women, half of our population, from the protections provided by the Constitution, what did we do? We amended the Constitution. We changed it so it served us, so it did what it was supposed to do, so that it protected all of those people that weren't being protected. When we realized that ending slavery had not ended persecution, when we realized that there were Jim Crow laws and there was law enforcement that was biased and bigoted, when we realized those things, we the people used the Constitution of the United States, and we passed the Civil Rights Act of 1960. We passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. We passed the Voting Rights Act of 1965. We passed the Fair Housing Act of 1968. Those things were passed in the middle of violence.
You don't get to tell people what to do.
People were dying while those were being passed. Heroes were being assassinated while those were being passed. Bombs were going off in buses and churches. People were being killed by the Ku Klux Klan while those were being passed, but we the people passed those laws. We the people did it. You know what we're facing now? We the people are being ignored. The Constitution of the United States is being ignored, is being degraded, it is being eliminated. Who can solve that problem? Who can save our Constitution? Who else can do it? Who else is there? Who is it that's going to save the Constitution? We the people are going to save the Constitution. I'm an old white man, and I want to talk. I want to talk for a second to old people. Okay. You know, youth brings a huge amount. Youth brings a huge amount to the task that we have facing us now. They bring enthusiasm, they bring fresh ideas, they bring vigor, they bring strength. And that is indispensable. If we the people don't have that, we the people will not succeed. But we bring experience. All of you who are standing here right now, all of you who carried banners, signs, marched, protested through those years, these are the same years. We're here again, folks. We're here again. We the people means all of us. If we the people don't do it, no one will. Don't stand here today and be silent. Don't, for heaven's sakes, leave here today and be invisible. See? Don't let them rest. We, the people, have the loudest voice in the land. Let's use it every single day. Fight.
I've known Ken for a long time. I got involved in the Democratic Party in Limestone County, Athens. I'm on the executive committee there. My name's Jeremy DeVito, by the way. I never gave you a proper introduction because it's not really about me. But I'm going to be the last speaker today. And one thing that I see for certain is a lot of patriots out here. There's a lot of love out here. We love our country. But sometimes your country doesn't love you back. You know, and I don't know what that feels like to some people, but I'm trying to understand. And I'm just, I love all the energy I've seen here today, and I don't want to end on a somber note, but what I do want to do is give a quick shout out to some of the groups. So when you leave here today, you know where to take your activities. We've got Indivisible, Alabama. So let's get a round of applause for them. You heard from Read Freely today. Let's get a round of applause for Read Freely. You've heard from the Democratic Socialists of America, so thank you for that. Let's get a round of applause. Who else am I forgetting? I know. 50501, the nation's protests. They're all over the place. We're happy to have them. And the Purple People, which is who kind of tried to coalesce everyone together, which I'm also on that. Follow on Facebook. Follow on, Blue Sky, Twitter, whatever handle, not Twitter, guys. Find somewhere to follow them socially on Substack, TikTok, blah, 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 blah. If you can't make it to I need to stress this point because I had to do this at our local meeting. Social media is activism today, folks. You have to know that. It is. You have to like, you have to share, you have to comment, you have to interact in that way to get the message heard. The algorithm is skewed to the right. It will make you believe that you're alone, that you're the only voice, and you'll get stuck in a doom loop. Don't be stuck in a doom loop. Touch grass. Come out here and touch some grass. All right? Now, something that's near and dear to my heart as a veteran, civic duty. That's what I want to speak to you guys about today. Civic duty and fighting fascism. All right? Because a lot like a bunch of y'all, when we saw the first Trump presidency, we kind of like, okay, I don't know, this is weird. I didn't think this was going to happen, but it did. And we had some people in place, and we thankfully had some people who had some guts. They're not there anymore. We understand that, right? We saw that the bill, that budget was passed, right? Tell me that you agree with that. Yeah, so even our leaders don't know what's going on in the streets. It's clear right now that people are pissed off across the spectrum. All right? So we need to get people involved in running for office and doing their civic duty, right? Because that's the only way democracy works. All right? I can talk to you about a litany of issues that are really pissing me off. All right? Excuse my language. I know we got children. But it's just not the time for that. You guys heard it from everyone, and you know it in your bones, and I see it in your eyes. I see it. I know it. So what I want to talk to you about is fascism, and I want to express my First Amendment right to try and get you guys energized so when you leave here today, you take the fight to the streets. Fascism is a far-right authoritarian political system that prioritizes nationalism, make America great again, and we've heard that, right? Strict social control, who can play what sport, get what book, what a woman looks like, and what is diversity. And the power of the state over individual freedoms. Gaslighters and so-called moderates will tell you, stupid phone. Gaslighters and so-called moderates will tell you that we are not in the throes of a generational shift to fascism or the far right. How many times have you been gaslit and told that you are not, this is not as bad, oh, it's going to be okay? I mean, if you believed it, you wouldn't be here today. We know this is false. We know there's a shift to far-right ideology, and everybody else here knows that and sees it. But they only have that one tool in their toolbox. It's to gaslight you into thinking that you don't know what you're talking about. They can keep their heads in the sand. We will not. In fact, across the United States, massive groups of people are coalescing around this cause. It's evidence that our Constitution and the rights guaranteed by them are under the threat of extinction. This is not hyperbole. I say again, this is not hyperbole. And this is our unifying cause, or at least in my mind it is. We often ask ourselves, how the hell did we get here? If you haven't asked yourself that question, I'd be shocked. How did we get here? And we know it didn't happen overnight. You might say it was Citizens United, or you could say it was electing a black man as president, and then the backlash formation of the Tea Party, or the resolute and unflinching establishment of white supremacy that refuses to be extinguished. And all of these would be correct. Plus countless other reasons. But the most important question right now is, what the hell are you going to do about it? I'm here to plead with you, do not give up. Fight more than ever, with more energy than ever, however you can. It is our civic duty to vote, protest, and resist at every opportunity. Every opportunity. And while we may not be able to count on our elected leaders to meet this moment, we can count on each other and we can hold each other accountable. And that's important because we hold ourselves accountable, folks. They don't. And whoever they is, it's not us. Let me be clear about that. We hold ourselves accountable. We must use our voice and our vote and exercise our rights to the maximum. All of your rights, and their rights are our rights, are your rights. And it doesn't matter what group or whatever you belong to. I'm a veteran, I'm a white guy, I'm straight, but I will fight for every person's rights equally and forcefully, and I want you to know that today. We must do our civic duty and continue to rise in opposition and support people who will do so on our behalf. Do not believe the gaslighters, the trolls, the bullies, the bigots, and the right-wing media. Believe in each other. Okay? Because fascism didn't happen overnight. And it only stops when it's forced to. They talk about borders and they talk about boundaries. Fascism does not have a border. It does not have a boundary. It takes and it takes and it takes. Until you stand up and you say, damn it, I've had enough of this. Are we there? I love it. Thank you so much. Okay, Melanie's got one last thing to say. Thank you guys. My name's Jeremy. It's been a pleasure serving you today.
Dad, come over here. Thank you everybody for coming out. I don't normally speak at these, and neither does Zeb. But I am going to read a little poem, and I'm going to dedicate it to the sweet lady back here, Mrs. Hines. You see her? I'm going to read you a little poem. So one of my favorite, I have 3 people that I consider role models or that I looked up to, and that's Mr. Rogers, because I grew up on it because I'm old, and Jimmy Carter, and my mama. But every once in a while we have someone that comes into our lives right when we need it, that gives us encouragement, love, and things like that. And she has been continually providing me that opportunity on those moments where this gets a little bit difficult, there's a little bit of pushback, you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know how it's going to be perceived. So I'm going to read this really quick and then you guys can go. Whenever I feel helpless in this overwhelming world, I become a helper. Oh, 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 my love. On the days when it feels like I have no power, I serve others. You see, whenever I wash the feet of the world's feet, my hands immediately stop shaking. And I just want to thank everybody here for coming out and being helpers. And, you know, we look forward to seeing you at the next time. And, Dad, come over here. And these guys are amazing. They try to keep everything running smoothly because I'm a little bit of a squirrel. But I want everybody to know our protest is done. We are not going to be doing any marching or anything like that. But we appreciate you. And you guys have a great night.
One last thing, you guys heard about this town hall coming up on Saturday? There's a town hall for Dale Strong. You guys know about it? So it's in Limestone County in Athens. If you follow Limestone County Democrats on our Facebook, I have an event made there. So we've invited him via certified mail. So we're gonna know that he had the message. And our intention is to bring him and have a town hall. And if he comes, we'll have a town hall. If he doesn't, we're still gonna have a town hall. Because that's what democracy looks like. That is what democracy looks like. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. Everybody, thank you so much. We love you. And have a great rest of your day. Have a great Sunday. Thank you so much.